One of my favorite things about being a sports fan is discussing and seeing people discuss different players and what people think about them. And when it comes down to if a player is disliked, there's many different factors that can influence how people perceive that player and why they may dislike them. For example, some of the most disliked NBA players I can think of are Draymond Green, Patrick Beverley, and Dillon Brooks. And with all these guys, it can be chalked up to their antics on the court. With Draymond Green, it's choking out Rudy Gobert. With Patrick Beverley, it's diving at Russell Westbrook's knee. With Dillon Brooks, it's, talking trash to LeBron James and then losing the playoff series for the Memphis Grizzlies. But for many NBA players, it isn't as clear as to why they are disliked, where there's a specific event that you can draw back to where, they did something stupid and therefore people dislike them. For many NBA players, there's nothing like that, and yet people still hate them. And to me, one of the largest factors I think of why players get disliked is because of this universal thing that can be found in all of life where people don't like when people get credit who don't deserve it. And in the sports media world, that is typically called being overrated. This whole video concept came to me when I was watching a short that hopefully I'll remember to put in this video.
It's like really the point of having this many guys who all need the ball. Like, I think you kind of have to swap either Ant or Shea for a big. I think Ant's better, so I'm swapping Shea for Chet.
Where he just kind of casually says that Anthony Edwards is better than SGA. And for the ill-informed, SGA is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the superstar player for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He just finished second in MVP voting. Anthony Edwards is the shooting guard for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who just lost to the Dallas Mavericks. And the reason that kind of moment from that video inspired me to make this was not just because that take was clinically insane, but because I realized I found myself in that moment when I heard it kind of realizing that I was starting to dislike Anthony Edwards, which shouldn't make any sense because I enjoy watching him play and he's a very fun player. But when I notice these NBA discussions around Anthony Edwards and how people perceive him, it makes me dislike him more because people tend to think of him in a higher regard than in reality what he brings to the table. And I think it's important to acknowledge this because when people talk about their favorite NBA player and gas them up or put them into conversations they shouldn't be in, it's actually, at the end of the day, counterproductive to that person. Because by gassing up or putting your favorite NBA player in those conversations, it's going to make people dislike them because they don't belong there. They shouldn't be in those conversations in the first place. I know a significant amount of people who dislike Kobe Bryant just based on the fact that people have him higher than he should be in an NBA all-time ranking. And I'm sure those same Kobe fans would wish that more or everybody was as big as Kobe fans as they are, but by pushing their agenda of putting him higher than maybe he should be because he's their favorite player, they're making people dislike him and put him lower in response. And this phenomenon isn't exclusive to Anthony Edwards or Kobe Bryant. I think right now we're seeing a similar thing with Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics, who has not performed optimally in the finals so far. And people are saying that he is overrated, and people are hating on Jason Tatum because people don't think he's what everyone says he is. And I think maybe my overall point is that we should be aware and conscious of how our words and our takes affect a player's reputation. Because when you say something like Anthony Edwards is better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, while to you, you are just speaking your truth, to other people, you are creating a dislike of Anthony Edwards without even knowing it, because you are putting them in a conversation they shouldn't be in. And in a world where hot takes are so common for hits and views and clicks, I think it's important that we recognize that even though that is good content in terms of views, it is detrimental to sports media and just creates a negative feedback loop within the community, because people are going to dislike you for saying it, they're going to dislike the player that it is about, and overall it's just going to negatively impact people's opinion of discourse and of the sport, and it's just going to feed negativity into the media. And my point isn't that you shouldn't say your controversial takes or your hot takes about players, just that you should add nuance to those takes to avoid people from creating a dislike for a player for pretty much no reason. And I know this whole idea seems pretty boring, but I felt like this needed to be said. And if you made it this far, have a blessed day, and I'll see you in my next video.